sort of hey, Jimmy. Thanks for joining. I'll wave. So I'm going to be starting with the first kind of ring in the UX design process, which is research. Um, and part of that is, of course, defining a problem. So um, that's where I'm going to start, and that's pretty much where most of the study session is going to go to. I'm going to be finding a problem to solve, an important one, and I can even walk you guys through how I plan to do that sitting at home, not talking to anyone. Um, and then I'm also going to dive into some desk research. And once I do that, if I have time, I might get started on some survey outlines to really get the research going for the next round. But today it's going to be very much exploratory, understanding what problems are there out there to solve, and gearing up, thinking outside the box, writing things down, and I'm going to be documenting everything in Notion. So yeah, if anybody's curious about Notion, I use that a lot at work, and I also use it for all my personal documentation as well. I think it's a great place to, if you want to document design, it's a great place to do that. So yeah, I'm not sponsored or anything by Notion, but it's the best place ever. Hi guys, thank you for coming. Hey Karan, hey Krishna. Okay, so I'm also live on YouTube if anyone wants to join there. Yeah, let's just if anybody else is working on something, we can all work together. Hey Krishna, how's it going? What's up? Nothing much. I'm just doing the study session. So, like I was telling everybody, I'm going to start with an exploratory phase, uh, defining what problems are out there to solve. So, this is actually a great opportunity. Oh, wow, Krishna, thanks for the question. I recently heard of Notion. What are your best practices for Notion? Cool. So, best practices for Notion. So you mean like how do I align my documentation? Um, well, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to document. Um, I guess the best way, I really love using their cards. The cards are a great way to embed sort of information. Okay. And cards are a great way. I love making templates. I think that's one of my favorite things about Notion, that you can set up a template and then just reuse that uh, in whatever way you want to. So I'll give you an example. My weekly one-on-ones with my manager, I use I've made a template. So my template looks like, maybe I could even show you in another time, but my template looks like what's going well, what I'm having trouble with, and what are my next steps, and then maybe some notes or some other information that I want to pass on to my manager. So instead of recreating that every single week, I just set up a template, and every time I'm on a one-on-one, a minute before, I just click on and copy the template over, and we're good to go. And it's a great way to impress my manager. He believes that I'm on top of my game when really I've just recreated a template. Fake it till you make it, guys. That's one tip. But if you're interested in Notion, I'm down to do another whole rundown on that because I love it so much. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. If anybody's here, what what's like the worst part of your days lately? The worst part of your days. Let's get this problem defining started. What's the worst part of your days? I'm also gonna hop onto Reddit on the Toronto subreddit and see what everyone's talking about, maybe complaining about, and maybe we can define a problem. I wonder, can I like start a poll on here? So if anybody's joining, the question is, what's the worst part of your day lately? We're trying to define a problem here. Okay, so we have Bloor Street, Danforth, and University Avenue bike lanes are now permanent. And we've got 151 comments here. I've got it's a start. Now let's make them proper protected bike lanes. 60 upvotes. I live on Bloor. The sidewalks are essentially a bike lane themselves with the food carriers using them. 13 upvotes. Okay. So bike lanes are a topic. What else? Excuse me. Okay. So Toronto just announced another sort of round of restrictions where um, announcing, well, basically that all restaurants and bars are going to be closed by 11 p.m. and capacity is limited to 50%. Now, this is the most recent news and the most, seems like there's a lot of comments here, 821 comments. Let's see what everybody's saying and let's dive into how they might be feeling based on these. We're just looking at Reddit comments right now, but let's see what everybody's saying, what the vibe is here. Of course, it just turns into sort of like an anti-masker, pro-mask, anti-mask sort of battle. Okay, I can't even imagine what it's like to be a small business owner, particularly a restaurant. I hate this place. Oh, damn. Okay, so that's interesting. We've got small business owners that are definitely going to be hit by COVID. That's an interesting problem. Small business owners going to be hit by new COVID restrictions. Again, so if I were to turn that into a how might we statement, it might look like, how might we prevent small business owners from losing business during the new COVID restrictions? All right, that's one. Let's see, what else are people talking about in Toronto? Okay, 151 votes. So cinemas are shutting down 100%. They're not making money without food sales. True? Exactly. That's how they make money. If they can't sell food, there's no point in opening. Same with sports venues. Okay. All right. Okay, so 227 upvotes, watching CP24 reporter says he's interviewing people on the streets. Every single person responding said that they are done with these restrictions. They are fully vaccinated, and none of the respondents are going to follow them. All intend to still gather at the holidays. Oh no. Okay. So why do people, let's think about this. So why do people technically want to all still gather during the holidays, even though there's a pandemic out there? Well, my guess is because they want to spend time with family and friends. No, can't just guess that. Let's see if we can find some evidence. Hey, Kumail, thanks for joining. Okay, so we have something interesting here. I'm on 10 global challenges to overcome in 2021. Limitations of remote work. One challenge global organizations are facing is that remote work has limitations. Nonprofit work is very relational, it is felt, and trying to keep stakeholders engaged is challenging. We are exploring innovative ways to build virtual communities through virtual coffee dates, physical activity, and shared recreational experiences. Okay, this is interesting. Let's look more into this. Limitations of remote work. And then also cross-border collaboration. That's also a good one. So, cross-border collaboration, which relies on international travel, is inhibited by travel restrictions. To address this challenge, many nonprofits are developing new media literacies and using social platforms to coordinate with colleagues at great distances. Popular social media platforms can aid in nurturing interactions, sharing information, and collaborating on international projects. Okay, so these all seem like problem areas where solutions are needed. So I'm going to write all of these down for cross-border collaboration. Okay, now we have to kind of, if you look at the double diamond model for UX, we kind of have to start narrowing down our findings here. We're really broad, we've got a bunch of ideas. We have to just pick one specific problem to solve and start there. So these are very big issues. Let's see if we can find some research to back up evidence of specific problems that people are having in these categories. So I'm going to do that now. Working too much. Working too much is a good one. That's a remote work challenge, working way too much. Okay, so we're at the half an hour point. I'm going to take a short break, plug in my laptop, and I'll be right back. Hey, I'm back. Honestly, the hardest part about going live on Instagram is finding a filter or picking a filter. There's tons of filters. Picking one is difficult. But anyway, I found a cool one. I hope you like it. Okay, so I think what I've found a problem that I like, and when I say a problem that I like, it means that I found a problem that I definitely care about solving or finding some answer to. And now what I'm going to do is begin to start putting that into a problem statement, maybe a how might we statement. So the problem. Okay, so before I do that, I'm going to research a bit more. I think we're going to spend about 20-ish, 20, 30 more minutes researching this problem further. And when I say researching, I mean doing some desk research, looking at comments, looking at Reddit, um, looking at even I sometimes I go to Amazon and I go to Goodreads and see what people are talking about specific to the topic that I want to learn more about. So in this case, I've decided to tackle the space of basically mental health issues during the pandemic. So in Toronto, based on my research, it seems like it's a huge, huge, huge crisis. There are children very, very young, from the ages of like 4 all the way till much older, that have developed severe mental health issues, including things like anxiety and depression. And for a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old to have severe anxiety is it's just crazy. Like it's not the way how it's not how things should be. Also, it's getting more and more expensive because um, we might have like a shortage of uh, of people to help, and that includes counselors, that includes psychiatrists, that includes psychologists, and that's why the price is going up as well. So this is, I think, a good problem area. There are tons and tons of articles being written on this, so it seems like it's a very grave sort of problem. And I have a quote right here. Toronto's sick kids ER has seen a 25% increase in visits involving suicidal ideation. This is ridiculous. This is a crisis. This is horrible, and this is urgent. This is an urgent problem to be solved. And now, with kids growing up, pretty much, we can make the statement that that kids are growing up in the pandemic, and with the new restrictions coming out that have already come out and are probably going to get more stricter, I can imagine a whole new wave, sort of um, just a hard time. So let's take. I'm going to take the next 20, 30 minutes to research this further. And the way I'm also doing it is trying really hard to narrow it down. Um, and the way, and what I mean by that is by actually looking just in my city, Toronto, looking at the stats and research only related to Toronto. And then we'll see from there, right? So we don't want to define too much at this stage. Okay, I think we can dive right into this. And if anybody else has any articles regarding this topic, they can send over. That would be great. Um, yeah, and if you're new here, let me know what's like the worst part of your day during the pandemic. That'll definitely help me because you guys are my users as well. Hi, Marahan. So cool to see you. How's it going? It's been a while. Hi, Kajal. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Marahan. Hey, Margot. Thanks for joining. The biggest thing I hear from you is that it's this whole new thing that nobody really knows how to navigate properly. That's an interesting insight. Write that one down. Mm. Hmm. Okay, guys, so I read about 45 articles now from different sources, and there's a long way to go, but I think I am ready in terms of this project to start um, creating an outline for a survey so I can interview and talk to real users or real people that have problems before I can define my problem. So I'm gonna start doing that now. Hi Anmol, thanks for joining. Excuse me. Okay. Okay, guys, I think we're coming right to the end of this session. I'll do another one later in the day, probably. But this has been great. I've been able to um, do a little bit of desk research to find out what are some of the biggest problems that Toronto is facing. And I've narrowed down sort of the area that I think might be interesting and to solve, and an area that I see like I feel passionately about, which is sort of like the mental health crisis that's happening right now during the pandemic. It's like an urgent and necessary problem to tackle. My next steps are going to be to do more research and to begin to formulate my hypothesis and begin to formulate my objectives for the survey to more deeply and properly understand the problem. And from there, I'll be creating a problem statement. And after I create that, I'll create something of a how might we statement. It might be more than one, maybe two or three, and then we can sort of start the ideation process. But I believe the research phase will go on for a couple more sessions. So if you're interested in UX research and you're interested in watching me do it, I'm definitely not an expert by any measure. I haven't uh, done this enough, but that's exactly why I'm doing these study sessions to help me practice, um, to help me get better uh, at doing these types of things. So hopefully, in the next few sessions, I'll be able to drill down on the problem, create a problem statement, create a survey, maybe even do some user interviews. We'll see how that goes. I could do them remotely given the new restrictions and gather some insights. Maybe I'll do some clustering, and I'd be happy to show everybody how I do that. And if anybody has any more tips for me or has any guidance on how to do better user research, please let me know. I'm always looking, first of all, for feedback, and I'm always looking for just ways to improve my process. So, yeah, with that, I think we're going to end this study session here. Thank you for everybody who joined, and thank you for everybody who's at my YouTube Live.